Today's video is sponsored by Arena Club. More on them in a minute. The Gen 1 Pokemon games were kind of infamous for the sheer number of glitches that existed in the games, and my personal favorite glitch from Gen 1 has to be the Old Man glitch. Basically, by talking to an old man in Viridian City and having him show you how to catch a Weedle, you could suddenly go down to Cinnabar Island, surf along the coast, and find tons of crazy strong Pokemon. It all has to do with the fact that the game basically writes the player's name in the place of Pokemon encounter data during that interaction with that old man, and because the alphabet letters point to the same values as Pokemon, you can encounter Pokemon over level 100, and the list of Pokemon you can get access to is pretty extensive. It doesn't include every Pokemon in the game, but an awful lot of them. And because you can then combine this glitch with the Missing No glitch, which you set up the exact same way in order to duplicate items like rare candies, it actually becomes possible in the original Pokemon games to pretty easily get Pokemon up to level 255. A fact that I exploited back on the playground in order to completely crush my friends in Link battles, as they just wondered how the heck I got a level 255 Mewtwo when I didn't own a Game Shark. Now, because it's possible to get level 255 Pokemon in the game, so far I've done 2 runs on the channel with level 255 Pokemon. First with a Weedle, which is not technically legitimate outside of some sort of arbitrary code execution, but it was just a test to see if the weakest Pokemon at the highest possible level could beat the game, even though it has the weakest possible attacking move. Then I followed that up with the strongest Pokemon in the game, Mewtwo, which is legitimately catchable via the Old Man glitch, and was one of the Pokemon that I used to stunt on my friends with on the playground. The problem is that at any level over 100, Mewtwo starts the game without a single damage dealing move, causing it to nearly lose to a level 9 Weedle in the previous run, and it took over 12 minutes just to beat Brock in real time. So today I want to ask a question. If we actually got a really strong Pokemon that actually had attacking moves at level 255, how quickly could we crush the entire game of Pokemon Red and Blue? And for this test, I'm going to use Alakazam. Now, Alakazam is legitimately catchable via the Old Man glitch simply by having a player name with a capital V in it, in one of the correct positions. There's a whole Bulbapedia article about how to set this up properly, but the fact is that once you catch your Alakazam over level 100, it's going to come in with a starting moveset of Psybeam, Recover, Psychic, and Reflect. And honestly, given its same type attack bonuses, Psybeam and Psychic should be incredibly OP on this Pokemon. Add to that we have insane speed and special. I'm really interested to see if we actually one-hit KO every single Pokemon in the game with this one. Theoretically, that would be the fastest possible time to beat the game, because you would never be needing to use multiple Pokemon or to use even multiple moves against a single Pokemon. This should be absolutely insane. So let's get into this and find out just how overpowered a level 255 Pokemon would be with the best typing and one of the best moves in the entire game. So today, as we meet Professor Oak outside of Pallet Town, he's going to give us the single strongest Pokemon that has ever existed in the franchise, stronger than that level 255 Mewtwo, because we're actually going to start with a damage dealing move with this Alakazam. And at level 255, we're going to see that we're coming in with 622 HP, 336 attack, 311 defense, 693 speed, and 770 special. We have no badge boosting moves or stat boosting moves to use throughout this run, but I don't think it's gonna matter with our crit rate plus that special stat, but let's just find out. It starts off with the Rival 1 fight, of course, which we're simply going to take him down with a single Psybeam, and that was an easy fight. However, you may have noticed that there was no experience gained in that battle, which is actually insanely important for this one. A Pokemon over level 100 that gains any experience, in fact, even if the experience calculation was 0 experience, they will immediately level down to level 100. That's because of the way that the game handles the experience calculations. Normally, if the total experience is equal to or greater than the value for level 100, it will simply put your Pokemon at level 100. So in order to do an entire full game run with a level 255 Pokemon, you have to disable experience in the ROM itself, something that I've done by simply telling the game that we're constantly in a link battle, since link battles did not have XP. Now, one minor change that I'm also making here is I'm going to catch a Mew here. This is just to be my HM Pokemon, because otherwise we could take a ton of time like trying to find the exact HM Pokemon that we need and then get the luck to actually catch them. This way we'll have all of that out of the way so that we can just focus on how quickly we can beat the game. And this bug catcher at the end of Raining Forest that nearly beat level 255 Mewtwo is no challenge whatsoever for Alakazam. So now let's just get into the first gym. It's time for Brocky Boy. I don't think he stands a single chance against this Pokemon. So Brock attempt number 1, we're just going to hit him with a Psybeam. That's an easy one-hit KO on Geodude. He sends out the Onix, and we just do the same, completely destroying that Pokemon. 3 minutes, 21 seconds to beat Brock in real time. I'm playing at about 5 times speed here with my speed up, but that includes me giving live commentary and everything, so really not too bad to get through the first gym. And now we're ready to move on towards Misty, where we should have 0 issues in this entire section. We have plenty of PP between the Psybeam and Psychic, and as long as we turn on set battle mode, which I intended to have initially, we should be good to go nice and quick without really even needing to heal here. Now, I will be sticking to my minimum battles routing because of the fact that I don't think we need any battles, plus we wouldn't gain any XP anyway. So let's just see how this actually works out as we go through this run. And we actually take damage from a Rattata using Quick Attack. That's the first time that we've been damaged in this entire run. So unfortunately, the no damage run is officially over. Still, I think we're gonna crush everything because we only took 2 HP of damage from that Rattata, so it's not like we were anywhere close to getting knocked out here. Now, I'm gonna try to go through this one without picking up really any items other than the ones that we're required to, and I'm also going to try to complete this one without using any TMs, because I just honestly don't think we need them. We should be so overpowered at this point that we can simply destroy everything. But let's see if that's actually the case, or do we ever run into a situation where we would actually need a coverage move. Here against the Super Nerd at the end of Mount Moon, we can just one-shot his Grimer, one-shot his Voltorb, and one-shot the Coughing, all with Psybeam. It was never an issue, as we'll now pick up the Dome Fossil, because we know that it's the superior way to play Pokemon Red and Blue. And with no other items being required, we're going to run straight to Misty, where I think even a Psybeam will just one-shot her Pokemon. So first up, we've got the Staryu. I'm just going to go Psybeam. It's an easy one-hitter. Starmie comes out next. I get a Gen 1 miss with Psybeam, so now I have to go Psychic. And we do destroy the Starmie in a single hit, but we actually got slowed down by the fact that we missed a single attack due to the Gen 1 in 256 glitch. Are you kidding me? The perfect Pokemon has been destroyed by Gen 1 mechanics. Still, it only took 5 minutes, 36 seconds to beat Misty, with me giving live commentary with animations on, so technically we could get this faster with animations off. We are just completely crushing the game. So now I'm going to take a quick heal just before we go north, just because I have to manage my PP. If we didn't have to worry about PP, we would easily get through this entire run super fast. For now though, let's take on rival number 2. Let's see how he goes. I'm just going to use a Psybeam right here. That's an easy one-hitter. Psybeam on the Abra, also one-shots. We Psybeam on Rattata, destroying it, and Psybeam the Squirtle, so there was no issue to get through that entire fight. Now, nothing north of here should be an issue either. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not we run out of PP and have to go back to the Pokemon Center, but I think we've got enough to get through all of these without any issues. And here, Billy Boy is going to say, hey, how did you get that Pokemon? He's going to run into the closet to do a little bit of research. And I think this is a good time to check on his PC to see what he's been looking at. And okay, yeah. Anyway, it's time to go down to the SSN, where I think we're going to have a very, very easy time with this Pokemon. I don't foresee any real issues as we go to any of these trainers, though I will slam the Ether that we just got into Psybeam just to have a little extra PP. Here against the Innocent Bystander, of course, we can just destroy his Machop and his Drowsy, and we're ready to move on in the game. So honestly, my only question in this one is if we're ever going to hit a wall where we can't one-shot everything. It could happen with like Lorelei's Slowbro or the champion's Exeggutor, for example. That's one of the reasons I decided to go up against the Squirtle line, is to make sure that the Exeggutor is there at the end, because that could be the Pokemon that actually proves to be a wall. We'll just have to see, of course, but for now, we've made it down to Vermilion City, where all we have to do is run down to the rival here on the SSN. There's no need to pick up anything else, I don't think. We should be able to get through him nice and easy. Of course, Rival 3 leads off with his Pidgeotto. We're just going to go for the Psybeam after he does quick attack us, so he's got the strategy. He knows to quick attack, but when we get to Kadabra, it's just a one-hit KO, and Wartortle never stood a chance. So we easily get through on the first attempt, and we can come rub the captain's back. Now, I don't think anything up to this point is entirely earth-shattering. We probably all knew that this is exactly how this section would be going. Still, we're ready to go to Lieutenant Surge. It's time to see if the Trash Man slows us down simply by virtue of having so many trash cans that we have to dig through. Now, the only real issue here in Pokemon Red and Blue is that he has 3 Pokemon. Still, we one-shot the Voltorb. We can go Psychic on the Pikachu. That's an easy KO. And Raichu never stood a chance. So we get through in 10 minutes, 36 seconds, and we're ready to move on in the game. Now, of course, that would enable us to fly outside of battle, but I do not have fly yet on my HM Mule. So instead, we'll come here to the Pokemon Fan Club. I will now also heal in order to progress in the game, and let's get our bicycles so that we can speed up our movement. And with that, we are ready to make our way over towards Celadon City, and this really shouldn't be that bad to get through this next section. And of course, we make it to the Rock Tunnel Hiker with no issues. I only show him because he is the midpoint in a minimum battles run, and we're just completely destroying him with Psybeams, of course, because rock ground types have no special defense. So we can simply get through this entire section with no issue, and it's going to be time to go take on Erica, who I think is going to be an absolute cakewalk in this one. So Erica, attempt number 1, she leads off with Victory Bell that gets one-shot by a Psybeam. We Psybeam against Tangela, still one-hit KOing it, and Psybeam destroys the Vileplume. So 15 minutes, 43 seconds to get through that 4th gym, and we're ready to progress in the game. I had one reset just due to a slight misrouting. With speed up, it's kind of hard to move just one tile, so going from the previous fight to Erica, I actually moved past her, hitting the next trainer and had to reset just because I didn't want to lose a bunch of time fighting their 3 Pokemon. So there have been a few inefficiencies in this one for sure, plus we're playing with animations on at this point. I think we could get this to be quite a bit faster without those minor input mistakes. But for now, we're ready to move on in the game. Now, I'm not going to use the Pokédoll glitch in this one. I know that will make some people angry because how are you going fast as possible if you're not using the Pokédoll glitch? But come on, it's a glitch, guys. It is a glitch. If you don't think it's a glitch, fight me in the comments about it. So instead, we will go through the rocket hideout here where nothing is an issue. We're going to just destroy all of these Pokemon. It's just going to take slightly more time to use up a lot of our PP here. And because it's Pokemon Red, you actually have to talk to that guy to get him to drop the lift key. But that's basically it. There's no need for us to pick up any items in here. We can just progress nice and quick through this section. In theory, this just makes it harder to manage our PP here, which I mean is basically the main problem in any speed run is just PP management. Still, we should have enough Psybeams left over to destroy everything and still have Psychics for rival number 4. It's also worth noting that I'm not using any vitamins in this, just max DVs on this level 255 Pokemon, so we could technically get even stronger. But for now, we're going to take on Giovanni as we are, where we one-shot the Onix, of course, and the Rhyhorn, and Kangaskhan. Oh, we get another Gen 1 miss with Psybeam. Are you kidding me? Oh, that's 2 Gen 1 misses in a single run. This is ridiculous. The only thing that allowed Giovanni to survive like even a turn was that Gen 1 miss. Otherwise, we totally would have destroyed him. Still, we've made it to rival number 4 now, where we should have an easy time, but I am going to have to switch into Psychic here. Psychic one-shots the Pidgeotto. Of course, Growlithe goes down nice and easy. Execute has no chance. Kadabra needs to learn Psychic quick because it got destroyed, and the same for the Wartortle. So just like that, we defeat the rival with no issues whatsoever, and we can progress through the tower. We will get a free heal after this next trainer too, so this is actually not a situation where we really need to worry about our PP. As long as we have 2 PP to knock out that trainer, we're good to go. I will just pick up the elixirs in here yet again so that I have PP management opportunities later on in the run, but otherwise this is a super easy section of the game. And for once I will pick up a rare candy and immediately throw it on the ground because nobody needs rare candies when you're level 255. So instead let's take on Ghosty Mama. No Pokédoll glitch in this one as mentioned. Still, Ghosty Mama goes down in a single hit. We have 3 rockets to take on at the top of the tower, which are going to be a little tedious, but nothing that's really going to worry us. So let's just get straight to Mr. Fuji and that Poké Flute. And after getting the flute from the old man, I think it's a decent enough time to go ahead and just go to take on rival number 5, because we don't really fear anything on his team, but he will have an Alakazam. So we'll get our first shot to see how a really strong Psychic type actually stands up against our Psychic type moves, though our level advantage is probably big enough at this point that it won't really make much of a difference. Still, Rival 5 is usually one of the major walls in a normal run, so it's going to be kind of fun to stunt on him in this one. Let's see how it goes. Of course, he leads off with the Pidgeot. It goes quick attack. He's clearly got the strats, but we one-shot there. Growlithe goes down as well. Execute never stood a chance against the Psybeam. His Alakazam, we Psybeam it. It still goes down in a single hit. Blastoise never stood a chance as well, so we get through on the first attempt with no issues. Now we can just take on the last couple required trainers in here, and I think I'm going to go to Sabrina just to see how we do against her Psychic types. It's going to be kind of fun just to see her team melt when getting hit by Psychic type moves. First up though, we've got to take on Giovanni, so let's just get straight into this. He leads off with Nidorino that gets completely destroyed. Kangaskhan also gets wrecked. Rhyhorn never stood a chance, and his Nidoqueen, yeah, we don't need to use Psychic for Nidoqueen. It's an easy one-hit KO. So here I'm just going to take a heal at this point. It may not be the most efficient routing, but I think it's just worth it to heal now, and we shouldn't have to heal for the rest of the gyms, I don't think. But let's just see how it actually works out. First up, we've got to get to Sabrina. So against Sabrina's Kadabra, I go Psybeam. It's an easy one-hit KO. Mr. Mime is just trash, so it gets wrecked. In spite of the fact that Venomoth is Psychic type, it goes down in a single hit. And now for the Alakazam, I'm going to try Psybeam, and it's still one hit, at least with a crit. So 22 minutes, 15 seconds to get through Sabrina, and we still have no issues in this entire run. Now we get to go take on Koga, who I think is going to be an absolute breeze to get through. So let's just see if that is in fact the case. And I've picked up some PP ups. Usually I would throw them into Psychic, but in this one, I think the best play is actually to put them into Psybeam just so that we have more PP against our opponents and we don't have to heal as often. And with that, we're ready to get into Koga's gym. So let's just see how quickly we can defeat all of these trainers in here. And we had a slight time loss because I ran into one of the randos in the gym that I didn't need to fight, but I didn't save before that. So I decided to simply go ahead and take him down. Still no XP gained, obviously, because this is a no XP run. We've made it to Koga. Let's see how he goes. So Koga attempt number 1, we go Psybeam on the Coughing. That's an easy one-hitter. Psybeam on Muck also is a one-hitter. Coughing goes down nice and easy, and the Wheezing never stood a chance because we're a Psychic type. So 24 minutes, 4 seconds to defeat Koga in this one. And now we're ready to go take on Blaine, then Giovanni, then the League, and I'm pretty sure we're just one-hit KOing everything, at least until the champion. I'm feeling really, really confident at this point. And now usually this is the point where I would tell you about the Fuchsia Pokemart, but today we don't really need to go there, so I'm going to tell you about something more tangible, our sponsor, Arena Club. Arena Club is absolutely changing the hobby with their original slab packs and their zero-fee auctions. So whether you're chasing grail Pokemon cards or you're flipping slabs, Arena Club makes it easy to add the cards that you want to your Pokemon card collection. Now back in America, I had collected Pokemon cards since they first were released in the United States. I had the original starter pack and tons of booster packs. But when I moved to Japan, I had to separate from my Pokemon cards. I left them with my dad for safekeeping, but he, not really knowing how valuable they were, simply put them into a garage sale where he sold an entire box full of cards for only $20. And since then, I've really fallen out of collecting Pokemon cards, because how am I going to get my hands on those old school cards that I used to have when prices online seem to be all over the board? But that's when I found Arena Club. And because Arena Club offers more transparency than basically anywhere else, telling you breakdowns of recent sales prices and the exact cards you can get in their slab packs, you can buy there with peace of mind. So for my second ever slab pack on Arena Club, I decided to go for this Pokemon Ruby pack. Because come on, the grail was this awesome Snorlax, and all of the chase cards included Gen 1 Pokemon, including Red's Pikachu. And when I looked down in the lineup, there were a lot of cards that I used to have in my collection, and I'd be so happy to get again. This time, I pulled a 2023 Special Illustration Rare Alakazam, but since it wasn't one of the old school cards that I wanted, I flipped it right back to Arena Club for an instant $200 offer. And in fact, on the marketplace, I could find this near mint Alakazam from '96 selling for one of the nicest prices ever. So I think I found the card to add to my collection. And of course, you can save 20% off of your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/RBY and use code RBY at checkout. And with that, back to the action. But now it's time to make our way over to Blaney Boy, where I think this one's going to be super easy. Number one, because he's just bad in Pokemon Red and Blue, but number two, because of course we're the strongest Pokemon ever. In fact, we're so strong that Alakazam does in fact know how to use Tombstoner. It's simply choosing not to in this one because it would be too powerful. So instead against Blaine, I'm going to come in and just use Psybeam and get an easy one-hit KO on Growlithe. Ponyta goes down just the same. Rapidash is another easy one-hit KO. Arcanine also stood no chance. So in 27 minutes and 19 seconds, we have defeated 7 gyms. With animations on, with some mistakes having been made, still this is perfectly fine. As we get ready to go take on Giovanni and then the league, we should get a pretty good time as we go through this. And honestly, you can cut a lot of time off of most of my runs by simply taking away the live commentary. I take a little bit of time and make some minor mistakes just because I'm talking at the same time that I'm playing, something that you would obviously not do if you were actually trying to go for the best possible times. So let's just defeat Giovanni quickly. We go for Psybeam on the Rhyhorn, one-hit KO. Psybeam on Dugtrio does the job. Psybeam on Nidoqueen. Psybeam on Nidoking. And of course, the Rhydon never stood a chance here. It gets completely wrecked. 28 minutes, 27 seconds now to get through that section. I had a minor routing mistake that caused me to reset once here, but really nothing too bad. We're ready to just move on to Rival 6 and the League with basically no issues in this run. In fact, there's no need to heal here. Let's just get straight to this battle against the Rival and then make our way to the League. He leads off with his Pidgeot, of course, that gets one hit KO'd. Rhyhorn is going down in a single hit as well. Growlithe is also trash. The Execute is wrecked. Alakazam might be our first chance to actually see some resistance. No, it goes down in a single hit. And of course, the Blastoise never stood a chance as well, so we easily get through, and it's time to move on to the League. And here in Victory Road, the biggest time loss is just due to the fact that we have to do this whole boulder puzzle. And because I'm playing sped up, it's really hard to do it on the bicycle. So instead, I'm just kind of stuck here doing it without the bicycle here. Obviously, if you could route properly with the bike on, you would get through this section quite a bit faster, but there's just not really much that I can do here without wasting more time by accidentally running into trainers or accidentally pushing these boulders too far because the bike moves too quickly. Still, with that done, we are ready to make our way to the League, and this should be super easy, but let's just see. Maybe we actually have a situation where Psybeam does not one-shot, starting off with Lorelei. So Lorelei attempt number 1 against the Dugong. I go for the Psybeam. I get the one-hitter. Cloyster also goes down, but now Slowbro is the question. Still goes down with 1 hit, though it was a crit. Jinx goes down in a single hit, and that takes down the Lapras as well, so we easily win with no issues. So now it's time for the worst trainer in the history of the Pokemon franchise, which we don't even need to talk about any of these interactions because even without level 255, we know that Alakazam would one-shot everything. So we simply get through, and now let's go beat the Ghost Lady Agatha. So Agatha's Gengar, of course, will go down to a single Psybeam. The same is true for the Golbat. We're going to just stick with that for the Haunter as well. And Arbok never stands a chance. Gengar, number 2, just goes down. And Agatha is a complete non-factor. But that's true in every Alakazam run. You'd never actually have an issue there. But now it's time for Lance. Now, theoretically, if we get a Gen 1 miss and he goes Hyper Beam, he could do decent damage, but we just one-shot the Gyarados. Both of the Dragonairs go down as well. Aerodactyl is completely wrecked, and now the Dragonite gets destroyed in a single hit, at least by a critical hit from the Psybeam. So that brings us to the champion. I don't think we need a heal. Let's just get into this one. So champion time, he leads off with Pidgeot. I go Psybeam and get the one-hitter. Now his level 59 Alakazam, Psybeam still one-shots. Let's take down the Rhydon. It's an easy victory. Arcanine never stood a chance. Now Exeggutor, Psybeam, still one-hit KOs, no crit, and Blastoise goes down nice and easy. So we beat the game in exactly 33 minutes. But keep in mind, I'm doing live commentary, I've made a few routing mistakes, and we're playing with animations on. You take away all of those things, this is easily sub 30, no issues whatsoever. And honestly, somebody who's much better than me could probably get this down to like 25 minutes if I had to guess. Just my opinion, but tell me what you think in the comments down below. Obviously, this Pokemon would basically take you to the limit of the fastest possible time that a human could actually beat the game if you did it as like a super serious speed run with the Pokédoll glitch and everything else. In fact, somebody go tell Gym Leader Matt to do this run just to set a baseline for like what the best is that he can possibly do in a challenge. For me, 33 minutes with my live commentary I think is a pretty reasonable time to beat the entire game. Now we come out with slightly worse than a perfect score only due to accidentally running into one trainer and a couple of routing mistakes, but honestly, like, you could take those off. This is a perfect Pokemon. There's nothing wrong with Alakazam whatsoever. So let's go fight something much stronger and see if we can find anything that actually survives against one of our attacking moves. But of course, before all of that, our rival is going to be one of those kids on the playground complaining, "How did I lose? I never made any mistakes." Clearly, you needed to learn about the old man glitch. You guys don't put enough respect on old guys' names. That's what I'm saying as a kind of old guy in this whole PokeTubing thing. I was complaining to my wife the other day that I'm starting to get gray hairs in my beard. I blame him on my son. Anyway, we have defeated everything in the game. Now it's time to just go back down to Cinnabar Island and let's see if we can find a single Pokemon that actually survives one of our attacks. Because to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure that the level 70 Mewtwo actually could stand up to this Alakazam. But we can get a stronger Mewtwo that might just offer us some degree of difficulty. First up though, we'll watch the old man once again catch the Weedle. Look at how many Pokeballs he has. He's a legend. In fact, I accidentally watched him catch Weedle twice. Oh, that's how great that guy is. Still, we're going to run down to Cinnabar Island now. Let's go ahead and surf and let's just see what we actually get over here. First up, we get a level 80 Mew. And let's just see how this Mew stands up. Psybeam is a one-hit KO. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that the level 70 Mewtwo's probably not standing up to us in this situation either. Now, of course, that Mew encounter was due to the fact that I had previously locked in Mew in order to do my whole setup here. So I'm going to have to come back and see the old man again to properly set up the old man glitch. And now let's see what we get when we surf on Cinnabar Island. That is a level 80 Golbat, which obviously stands no chance. Still, I think we can find something a little bit stronger here. And there we go. We get a level 132 Mewtwo. Let's see if it survives a single hit. And sure enough, it does. Psybeam only did about 194 damage. So massive damage, and he goes Amnesia. Oh, this legend, he knows. We're gonna go Psychic here. We drop his special, but he goes Amnesia again. He knows that we're gonna knock him out the next turn if he doesn't do that, but he has 999 special, and we still destroy it on the third hit. So that Mewtwo was pretty good, but not strong enough. Still, I think we can push this even further. We have a level 141 Starmie, which will go Psybeam, and that's also not a one-hitter, but we did like 80%, almost 90% to it. So it's simply going to go down to the next hit. A level 146 Clefable pops up. I think Psychic one-shots here. Sure enough, it does, at least with the crit there. But we're waiting for one very special Pokemon to pop up that will allow us to hopefully demonstrate just how powerful this Alakazam actually is. Or maybe prove that Alakazam is not all it's cracked up to be and it's only the level. We have now in front of us the level 255 Mewtwo. Now this Mewtwo has the problem that it only knows Barrier, Recover, Mist, and Amnesia, but it's going to be time to see how we actually do with a Psychic against this Pokemon, and we did like nothing. I say nothing in spite of the fact that we did like nearly 130 points of damage to this Pokemon. It just feels like nothing because this Mewtwo has 877 HP. It goes Mist after we drop its special. We get another special drop. Now it goes Amnesia. We get a crit, but that was not enough, and it recovers. Oh no, we could actually be in trouble here if it just recovers enough times. We're out of Psychic PP as we start going into the Psybeam. It Amnesias again, but fortunately we do take it down. And ultimately, we have proven that our Master UI Zam here at level 255 is in fact better than a level 255 Mewtwo. Anyway, that was a heck of a lot of fun. I just wanted to do this as a test run after the previous level 255 runs to see how it would be with a proper level 255 Pokemon that actually had damage dealing moves at the start of the game. And as you can see, there are a lot of other Pokemon that are available over level 100. In fact, as we come to Bulbapedia, which seems to be the only website on the internet with more ads than YouTube, we can see the available Pokemon include everything from Missingno to Golduck, Hypno, Golbat, Snorlax, Magikarp, Muck, Kingler, Cloyster, Electrode, Clefable, Weezing, Persian, Marowak, Haunter, Abra, Alakazam, Pidgeotto, Pidgeot, Starmie, Bulbasaur, Venusaur, Tentacruel, Goldeen, Seaking, Ponyta, Rapidash, Rattata, Raticate, Nidorina, Geodude, Porygon, Aerodactyl, Magnemite, Charmander, Squirtle, Charmeleon, Wartortle, and Charizard, and finally an Oddish, before you get into just a bunch of trainer battles that are activated by different characters as you go through. You can even fight Champion Blue here if you want by just putting in a /. Apparently that's all it takes to actually take on the champion. If only Professor Oak were somewhere in here, we would easily be able to fight him. And it appears that the Pokemon Professor is available just by putting him in. Just a second. I want to test this. And sure enough, it turns out that you can actually fight Professor Oak here, though it does appear to have completely glitched out the game. And we're up against the glitch Pokemon M, and apparently we're up against multiple of them. So we're going to have to sit here and just kind of spam moves until this Pokemon goes down, which might take a small eternity because I attempted to fight against Professor Oak this way. But clearly this is fine. Everything is fine. Our Alakazam has completely destroyed Pokemon Red and Blue. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me give a massive thank you to the channel members for your continued support. Thanks to Arena Club for sponsoring the video, and thanks to everybody who watches and comments. Appreciate you guys. I always have a blast making these videos. I hope you guys have fun watching crazy things happen as I play. And we need to ask the question, why are we now fighting against a Spearow? This whole thing makes no sense. This Spearow is asleep, and look at that HP bar go down. Nobody knows what's going on anymore, but apparently this is what Pokemon Red and Blue has been reduced to by all of our glitch mechanics. Anyway, that's all I got for this one. I will see you guys in the next one. Later.